Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your relevant host, Shorty, and today it's my birthday. Rather than worry about getting presents from people, I'm just going to give you two reviews. Kind of my own fault, though. I was supposed to review Cowboy Bebop yesterday. I couldn't do it in the morning for various reasons, and then my day dragged on, and I never had the chance to do it before I had to go somewhere else. So I do apologize. So you're getting Cowboy Bebop today, like this morning, and then before the end of business today, I'm going to review something else as well. I'm undecided at the moment. It's either going to be Happy Hill or the Peacemaker one-shot. They're both coming this week, and they both look very, very cool. But for now, though, Cowboy Bebop. Anime, manga kind of stuff, not really my bag. I have nothing against it, like in general terms. I've thoroughly enjoyed some of the movies, but the TV shows, I tend to maybe get a few episodes and then lose interest. With the books, the art style isn't particularly my cup of tea. Well, the predominant manga art style isn't my cup of tea. Sometimes I can enjoy it, but then there's certain, like, I don't know if they're the right term, like manga kind of motifs that go throughout, which don't really land for me. And it's a shame because I think there's a whole world of entertainment out there which I'm not enjoying as much, but what can you do? But Cowboy Bebop is a comic book adaptation of the live-action Netflix series based on the anime, which might be based on a manga as well, I'm not sure. So like, we're a few degrees removed straight away, and that should give me more opportunity to enjoy it for what it is. And I will say, I did enjoy it. The writing is fantastic. Dan Watters is brilliant. I've read a lot of his stuff recently, and yes, he's not perfect. Yes, there are stuff that doesn't land for me, but overall, generally cool. And this is a good example of it. He does really good world building and relationship building. He builds up characterization through dialogue, which is really, really good. The conversations he puts in between characters doesn't stroke too much of like what's the word I'm looking for, where it's basically just expositional all the time. It isn't that, thankfully. There's like times when it could be. In fact, there's times when I think that we need a little bit more. The first couple of pages are, unfortunately, kind of a hard sell. They are kind of vibrant and full of stuff going on without much dialogue, but there's no real explanation about what's going on. You kind of find out in the middle of the fight what's happening, and even then, because there's some unusual things happening which kind of break the narrative structure a little bit, it makes it very hard to just quickly and easily be like, oh yes, I know what's going on here. And that is frustrating because the rest of it is brilliant. There's some great instances where people just like watching TV and the world comes at you from that way. Conversation had it in the rain, and the fact that the rain's coming down is brilliant. Very, very cyberpunk. The fact that some people in the world seem to be filled with ennui and lack of caring because they are part of a much larger structure, interplanetary governmental structures which don't really care about little people and are kind of happy just for the people in charge to stay in charge. Feels very cyberpunkish. It's not too much post-humanism though, and corporations don't really play into it. It's more governmental kind of stuff. But there's enough cyberpunk-esque kind of stuff in there that made me really like it, and I like what they did, the action sequences. Here we start talking about the artwork, and it's going to be a little bit less congratulatory, a little bit less positive when it comes to the artwork. The action sequences are really, really good. They make note early on, the main character, dude there, knows Jeet Kune Do. And the fight sequences involve lots of throwing elbows and high kicks, look brilliant. You do get a sense of dynamism to them, and the action feels kind of blisteringly paced. It's really, really good, and I enjoy all the fight sequences. I like the coloring a lot too. But this one comes with a bit of a caveat because sometimes, well, the coloring is not sometimes. Coloring is always bold. It always is. It's always eye-catching, but it's also being let down by the shading. Because sometimes you can just do a matte color and then shade with line work, cross-hatching and the like. Or sometimes you can use different gradients of color. This one tries to do the gradients of color occasionally, but for the most part, it's just matte. What is let down then is the shading, because it goes from no shading whatsoever to a little bit to blacks. And I get, if you're going to do any kind of neo-noir thing with the vibrant neon colors through it, having that kind of blackness to it as like a complementary or adverse kind of situation really works quite nicely if it's done well, if it's used effectively. But it just comes across like it's been used to do shading instead of doing shading properly. There are times when there should be more of a gradient. There are times when you can have different colors because of neon lighting and reflecting off different colored surfaces, as the artist from Jewel did yesterday, a couple of days ago. You can do better shading. You can do more with your coloring. There's also a certain angularity to the lines in this, which is not really great at times. Don't get me wrong. Some of the architectural stuff is brilliant, like internal shots of spaceships and cityscapes, all that fantastic. But there's times when we've got close-ups of facial features and the like, and weird angular bits around the mouths and the cheekbones and the eye sockets. It makes things seem less than human. And that pulls away from that organic kind of feel you get through a lot of the action sequences and some of the brilliant uses of light and shade, including when the rain's coming down and splashes, puddles, and all that. There's a lot I like about it, but the artwork is unfortunately not up to the spec, and it plays too much of a role in it to not be as good as it is, to be as bad as it is, should I say. It needs to be better, and it isn't, and I can't help but feel that if I did carry on reading it, it would bug me more than the enjoyment I was getting out of the writing, and that's a damn shame. I will be back later on. I'm not sure what I'm going to review yet, but until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.